Hey everyone, this is Isaac. This is my introductory video for this channel. This channel is about bike commuting, riding your bike either on a leisurely stroll or using it for bike commuting. It's also about, building community within the biking industry. There is a lot of that out there, but I figured, hey, I'll go ahead and try to contribute to it because if you're anything like me, I cannot get enough content about bikes. Some people love trains, some people love cars, scooters, whatever it be. I just happen to love bikes. So, this channel is basically about that. And if you kind of have that sense of, I love bikes too, then I think this channel is going to be for you. So feel free to like the page, subscribe it, share it with people that you know. If they love bikes, I think they're going to like this channel. So I figured, what's going to be the best way for me to make an introductory video? And I wanted to show you all the different bikes that I use on a day-to-day basis. So I've been bike commuting for about 20 years. I use a bike right now for my primary means of transportation. And I wanted to show you all a little bit about these bikes. So I have anywhere from just basic bikes to, touring bikes, as well as a bike commuter, which is an e-bike that I have. And so, if you're new, you're probably trying to figure out what kind of bike should I get. But if you've been around the biking industry for some time, you know that each bike has its own specific purpose. And really, like I said, if you're new, don't let whatever bike you have stop you. If you have a bike, use it, get good at it, ride it around, get comfortable with it, get comfortable on the route to work, on the route to school, whatever it be. But, with the years comes a little bit of experience. As an example, I won't necessarily take a road bike on a road that has a lot of potholes. And that's just something that you happen to know, really, because the tires are so thin. But, let's get into the very first bike today and follow along. The first bike I want to show you is going to be this Galaxy 2 Precision 10-speed. Nothing crazy about this bike. I picked it up on Facebook Marketplace about 4 years ago for about $50. And I got it specifically to start riding my bike with my wife, or really to have my wife start riding the bike with me. So I didn't want to spend too much money because I didn't know she was going to be riding it for too long. Turns out she really didn't want to ride bikes as much, or we just never really got the opportunity to do so. So I figured I'll convert it to something that I like to ride. I love bikes, like I mentioned, and if I buy something, I want to be able to use it. The problem is that each bike has a different use case, and I use this one just for riding around the neighborhood, going down to the corner store. I'm not picking up groceries on this bike. Really, this bike is just for fun. So a few of the enhancements that I've made over time are going to be, this had drop bars when I first got it. Wasn't as comfortable for my wife, so I wanted to get something that would allow her to sit up straight. And that's really what these do. It allows you to basically have a better posture, rather than if you are kind of leaned over and you're not too comfortable riding a bike. That's just not the best case scenario. Another thing is that this bike has the tension shifter. So this is an older bike, older model. Bikes made back in the day had these tension shifters rather than the modern shifters that we have today. But these ones, you essentially just move them back and forth to either make it easier to pedal or make it a bit, I don't want to say more difficult, but just getting a little bit more power behind your pedal. So another thing is that these have the pedals that came along with it. I replaced the tires on this bike. I believe they came with just the original that they had from the factory. And then, put some new brakes on here when I replaced the handlebars. But this is a very comfortable bike to ride on. I'm not basically in any riding gear at the moment, but, this is what I like to do. This is what I like to ride. Um, I'm going to just kind of demonstrate that upright position. I have some sandals on, and maybe this isn't the best case, but like I said, this is just a fun bike to ride, get out there, not do anything too crazy on, and just fun to have around, fun to ride. All right, keeping with an old school theme here, this is the Trek 1000 aluminum frame. And this bike, I love this bike here. I took a break from bike commuting on and off. I mean, I've always ridden my bike, but essentially what I mean by the break is, there was a point in my life where I was constantly just riding my bike to wherever I needed to go. Then you get that car and you kind of become, absent in the bike, riding bikes. So then I kind of picked it up again. I moved to a new area, moved to a new city, and this was the bike that I essentially bought to get me around the city. I actually had a mountain bike, but I really wasn't using it. It kind of just stayed in the garage. I eventually did pick it up again and I did sell it. But this one here, I kind of just picked up the habit again when it came down to bikes, and it was everything that I needed at the time. So I was living in the city, going downtown for school, going downtown for work, and this would basically just get me anywhere that I needed to go. Now, I did mention that, in the city that I live in, there's a lot of potholes. So it didn't fare too well in the potholes, but if you can kind of, bob and weave with them, you can be okay. But this is, again, like I mentioned, Trek 1000. I ended up updating the grips on this. I think they were uh, black before with like the foam cushioning. I ended up putting the white ones on here. Still got the handle brakes, and this one also does have the tension shifters, and then also replaced the um, the tires on this bike, and then the chain in between. Back in the day, actually, this was the cassette on this one was a little bit frail, kind of old. So I did replace that one. The seat, nothing special. Again, these bikes don't have to be anything too special. If you want to ride a bike, get the bike, and it's gonna get you wherever you need to go, especially if you're just starting out. So again, this is the Trek 1000. All right, so after the Trek 1000 comes this Trek 520. I got a little taste of the Trek 1000. I was like, you know what? I like the old school kind of vintage bikes, but let me see what like a modern Trek bike could do. So that's where I kind of picked up the Trek 520. I was still riding around the city, got comfortable, but now I figured, you know what, I'm kind of in the central New York area. I eventually want to do the Erie Canal and I want to ride on all these trails. I wanted to kind of switch over to this one here. Did a lot of research on YouTube, saw that this was a good bike. I think this is the 2021 version, which is still a good bike, good frame. It came with the back rack here, which has been super convenient because then I started getting into, actually like riding my bike every single day. And this was obviously around COVID time. And so I was able to put the panniers on the back rack, and it helped out a lot because I was able to pack all my clothes, all my work stuff, all my school clothes, get to school after, a short commute, take a shower, and then get ready for the day. So on this bike, I mean, it came with basically, the standard drop bars here. Now the shifters are actually at the edge of the handlebars, but it still has the hand brakes, which are kind of just, standard now. What I did add to this, because I eventually did try to do the Erie Canal, but I didn't train for it really, other than, the back and forth from work. And I figured that's going to be enough. And it wasn't. So that's fine. You kind of live and you learn. I went halfway. I went from Buffalo to Syracuse and basically was like, I'm done, and didn't continue on. But eventually I do want to try it again, and I'm going to be using this bike. So I needed to get a little bit more comfortable because what I learned was from the Erie Canal that my hands and my butt and everything was just hurting. So I figured I need to kind of change, my different positions, and that's where I ended up getting the armrest here so that I can continue on. Now, lots of times I do have, the phone mount right here just so I can either listen to music or maybe track my mileage, whatever it be. And then the tires on here, I did replace those just to get a little bit more grip through the city streets and whatnot. There is a bike, a rack, a front rack that comes with this. I didn't get it at the time. I always have considered it simply because when I did try the tour, it was a lot of weight on the back, and I would just like an even distribution. But yeah, this is the Trek 520, a really good bike that I've had throughout the years, and really nice. All right. So after, getting comfortable on the previous bikes, I ended up getting a new job in a different part of town that was a little bit further out, but I really wanted to commit to the car-free lifestyle. So my family at the time, we had two cars. We ended up selling one of them, and I bought this electric bike here, which this is a Momentum PakYak E Plus. It's part of the Giant brand. This is their just electric brand. So this bike here, it's a very fast, very very nice bike to have. After kind of just being on the acoustic bikes, I got on this, and it kind of feels like you don't have to do as much work, which I didn't know if I really loved that at the beginning. But I will say that with my job, I'm doing a lot of presentations. I'm going in front of a lot of executive leaders. And, I can't be too sweaty whenever I get to work, especially if the new job doesn't have a shower. So I figured, let's get this bike, let's make it a little bit easier so that it allows me to commit a little bit more to the car-free lifestyle. So this bike is super helpful, super handy. It has a little basic bell here. It is a class 3, which if you know anything about electric bikes, class 1, I think it only goes past 20 miles an hour. Class 2, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but the class 3, this is the pedal assist. So you have to pedal in order for the power to get put behind it, right? And this goes up to about 28 miles an hour. So pretty fast. The roads that I'm not riding on, some of them are neighborhoods, but some of them are like pretty busy roads. So if I am on those busy roads and I have to go a little bit faster than what I would in a neighborhood. Right here, I have a bit of a cup holder. This is great for one of those long mugs that you get for coffee. Sometimes I put snacks in there or whatever, and it just allows me to carry a few additional things. On this bike, I do have a little bit of a GoPro mount and a phone mount. Actually, this is a phone mount and this is a GoPro slash phone mount. If I'm ever going live, like on TikTok or whatever it be, I hook my phone up front. And then if I want to make some additional YouTube videos, I'm using the GoPro here. It does have a front rack, which is super helpful because I kind of carry a lot of things to work. And I can put a bunch of stuff up there. In the back here, though, I do have some panniers that kind of just come for this bike specifically. Um, I haven't really tried any other ones with this bike, any other panniers with this bike, but these ones seem to get the job done. I've gone grocery shopping with this bike. I've actually also put a car seat on this bike in the summer, in the springtime, to ride my kid around, and we always have so much fun on this. It does come with a built-in light, which is super convenient because, especially in the fall time, you're riding your bike as it starts to get dark a little bit earlier. So it's a bit dirty right now. I will say, obviously, the bike was expensive, the battery was expensive, but when you sell your car, it gives you a little bit more wiggle room there. And it does come with a backlight here. And the tires themselves, I haven't replaced them, but they are pretty sturdy. Now, I will give a caveat to that I was on my way to work one day. I was about at the halfway point, and I had a blowout. Now, with the acoustic bikes, it's a lot easier to change the tire, but for this bike here, it's very tough when you're on the go. So I do have on each of my bikes a bit of a changing station. So in here, there's a compartment that I could put, spare parts and anything I need to replace the tire. But this one, with the panniers, with kind of time, maybe you're getting ready for presentations, you kind of have to adapt. So, like I said, I was at the halfway point and I ended up needing to get a ride the rest of the way to work. Ended up dropping this bike off at an elementary school. It was summertime, so the kids weren't there. I ended up taking the bike, putting an air tag in it just in case someone picked it up. But you kind of got to adapt in those situations, and that's really what bike commuting is, right? It's being out there. It's trying to be in the community, but sometimes you're going to come up on you're going to come up short trying to get to work. So that's the last bike here. Here are some PS notes as it relates to bikes. My number one rule: always wear a helmet. Now, it might look not cool, it might look nerdy, whatever it be. Protect your head. I've been in the past as a kid, as an adult, hit by cars, and this helmet has saved me. Maybe I didn't need it at the time, but you never know. You can get hit by a car and actually injure your head. Thank goodness when I was hit by a car, I didn't injure my head, but I got a lot of scrapes on the body and whatnot. But get a good helmet that fits your head comfortably. I have two helmets. Let's try this one on just to show you. This is a Cali. I ended up picking this up in Syracuse at Mellovello Bike Shop. And it used to be a restaurant back in the day. It was a great place to go, but the bike shop still is, and I used it a lot when I worked downtown. But one thing that you want to do is when you get a helmet, one, you want to make sure that it's nice and tight, nice and snug here. I would recommend getting the kind that has, this adjustable little spinner lever here, because you can loosen it and you can tighten it. One thing that you want to do when you have a helmet is make sure that it covers your forehead here. If for whatever reason, let me loosen it again. If it's kind of like that, it's the wrong size helmet. Maybe it's too small, maybe it's too big. But what you want to do is make sure it probably comes like close to your eyebrows here. And that's the perfect size helmet for you. If you go to a bike shop, they can definitely help you pick something out. So here's a side view of it. Funny enough, whenever I got I started bike commuting again, got a helmet, it just looked like a big mushroom. It was just something that I got from, a very cheap store. Wasn't fit to my head specifically. Get a good helmet. That's a number one rule. All right, everyone. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, feel free to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and let's continue to build the community here with the bike community.